for the defenders, and they'll find all the remaining kills fairly easily. 8-6, and take the lead, but this is where we expect a response.
One other thing I wanted to mention as well with Murray is 14-9 currently. First official game on Killjoy. Probably to nobody's surprise, but it's still good to check. And he has been a player that I think has just been trying to find his feet. He's almost like the GTN FRZ of Vikings. Just the meta changing at the start of the year. A lot of teams playing double duelist, especially in Brazil. Once we went into a Sky meta, it's just... You could play Sky like a duelist. Now, you kind of can. You can play in various different ways. That's the beauty of that agent at the very least. You have freedom to play other stuff at the very least.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he was 14-4. So I'm pretty sure he's died 5 rounds in a row. So it's been very explosive rounds from Murray's that have definitely been highly impactful, but in terms of consistency, I think that's been the issue so far for VivoKey.
Well, other than the 2 4K rounds, we're doing a lot of maths this
let's stop that. You never do math on air.
Outside of the flashy rounds we've seen from him, he's just been chipping away. It's not like he's been multi-killing every single round.
This is a very weak purchase for Ascend. They've just got those bonus weapons from before, a pistol alongside the Spectres. The range game is going to clearly favor the side of VivoKey. By the looks of it, they're going to have a fairly easy B plant because the rest of the players are currently looking to try and challenge into mid.
It's scary though, you don't really have that Aldrin. It was used already from MW. You might not even have the money to get it at this point. If you're looking at Heat, he's only got 25 armor, so even though this is a full buy, only just in some of these cases. But despite going down, there's no lurks, there's no cute plays from Ascend, even though you are taking the attention for VivoKey, they're kind of watching behind him a little bit. Yeah, Zhao is playing very close.
Ooh, I'm wondering if they're going to try and counter all this. Starzo has his own that he might just look to try and peek out. They're going to already clear out one, but with the rifles in hand, they should just look to spam it through, and the cleanup doesn't take too long whatsoever. A solid hold from the side of VivoKey. Someone expected in a round like this, and well, the retake plan from Ascend not working out this time.
Yeah, Zhao sort of offering himself, Joe offering himself up pretty well there. I think just those kind of moments, so whilst he does go down, like you said, that Sage Wall came in to try and block a defuse. Ascend in that moment panicked a little bit, don't you think? It was just a bit of a, why is he here? And at this point, the rest of the team can capitalize. One of the interesting things that I saw in an interview with, I think it was Morris, about MW. MW's going to be playing relatively passively. You sort of expect him from being a pure duelist player up until now to maybe playing a bit more aggro, especially with Morris moving over to a Sentinel. But no, it's been Heat making those entrances, and the playoff from that from VivoKey has been pretty impressive so far.
I like the attempt, but the peekaboo spot out from Zeke hasn't worked whatsoever, and there's a push coming straight up to the side. They're just looking to try and run this one straight through. Murray's leading the charge, and he's managed to get quite far. I don't know if they've realized that he's got all the way through, and Bone Cold's going to be the one to catch a bullet for it. Now Killers is in a horrible spot. Either has to face the wrath of the full team, or try and catch them on the way. He does exceptionally well. Starzo even going to wall up over the top, try and battle them, but he takes the brunt of the damage. A 2 versus 2 scenario in the lurk coming through from Heat is not going to be expected at all. It's left onto Starzo to try and break this one back, and he gets nothing. Heat with 3 kills, scoreline equalized, VivoKey back.
Even then, you're forcing Ascend to do what Starzo did, the sort of wall boost plays, the kind of things that you see from well-known streamers that play the agents, right? It's forcing over-egregious plays from Ascend on this defense just to try and catch VivoKey off guard. But like I mentioned, that team play has been very impressive, considering you've only had MW0 in this roster for a couple of months, if that, at the very most. Yeah. But even just in general, this squad is very new. The interesting thing as well I wanted to mention, MW0, Joe, used to play on Game Landers together. So there is a bit of synergy. It's not like MW0 is completely outcasted from this side. And I think so far, that's probably one of the reasons why this VivoKey team looks so in sync with each other.
Yeah, especially for a roster that I think a lot of people are just looking at them as that individual
firepower
team.
All in, no brain.
It's not. It hasn't really looked that way. They've had those lurk plays, decent trades. Sure, there's been a few along the way, but they're looking much more well-rounded. Now, it's something I said yesterday when we saw the loss of Gambit. I never really like to judge a team just on their Icebox performance, because I feel like it's a more simplified map than a lot of the others we have within the pool. So I don't want to take too much, but
sometimes that's nice, though.
True.
Especially for a first map that we've seen VivoKey in a while. It's just a good, like I said with Team Secret yesterday, stress tests. You're not going to be over egregious with compositions. And Boat Cold again, dying in the same position as the last time. This one, it's an eco, so it's not really have too much, but if they could scare Bone Cold away from playing in these spots where he wants to keep an eye out, that's going to work very well in VivoKid's favor. Like, confidence is so important for either side, but especially when it's on for VivoKid, that's a freight train.
There's a few ults fairly close for the side of Ascend, so any kills they can get might actually benefit them quite a bit, but for now the hold,
It's a lovely movement
from VivoKid is looking stellar. Killers will at least get one, but it's not really going to harm the Brazilians too much. 9-8 as they confirm their lead now. And as I said, we're waiting for a response, because a lot of the time we do expect some stellar attacking sides, and thus far that's what we've got from VivoKid.
Well, we see the operator coming out of CNED at this point. It is in. It sort of adds to that narrative, I suppose,
Yeah,
the story of just, you know, it's might be much better when it comes to having those operator rounds, and I think this is an important one really for Ascend to win. It's been streaky, just winning a pistol, last 3 lost. And ultimates as well. There's enough for Ascend to work with here to really cause issues for VivoKid. Viper's Pit's going to be the first one used in a direction where a lot of traffic is going from the Brazilian side.
Killers is going to pop it, but back off, just trying his best to avoid the drone. Actually, they're going to make this very
Gantian, pinnya cuma satu
now, he's
sekarang.
going to try and go back in just to keep the integrity of the Viper's Pit.
Look at Joe.
Then he has to try and back out, so this is becoming quite a problem. Zeke as well popping the Empress as they look to try and push through, and Killers has actually been trapped, but it almost works as a bit of a bait. If they tried to push him down, there were plenty of players ready and waiting. Even still though, it is going to be the plant come through, and he manages to get the opener.
The Viper's Pit being down now is not really too much of an issue. The lurk was attempted from Joe, but in fact moved away. I think he was caught by the turret setup in the end from Morris, and now the Hunter's Fury coming through, trying to see if he can catch anybody as another Viper's Pit's dedicated on the defense, the attack this side even. It's a bit of a mess, but Ascender coming out.
Yeah, they're doing well from this, but that's just a triple, a quad spray down from MW0.
He didn't even use the recon dart.
He's just stood there with it in hand, waiting at the end.
What's
I can't
this,
believe
huh?
it. I think we need a replay of whatever he just did, because that spam through, that play is one of the reasons they wanted this hot property. It's alone, but you know what? I feel like this is almost looking like that 10 scenario. It's like, yeah, we've loaned him out,
What?
Oh, no.
but they might just have to pay the big bucks, because these are the sort of plays that are making the difference.
Stars are going down so early in that as well. We've seen that a couple of times
He's
now
so
from
loud
Ascend.
he broke the mic.
Yeah, it just peaked. A production of like mutes.
When you scream so loud, you cause a technical pause.
Apparently we're getting calls from Central Berlin saying they heard that from over there.
Oh yeah,
I think they heard that all the way back in Brazil,
we're getting some noise complaints. We heard someone shouting. But yeah, no, a truly ridiculous play. And we've seen a few of these now, like Muras as well. We've mentioned him already, but this was around, as you said, up until that exact moment. The Ryan curse came through. It was like, it's looking pretty good for a set. And then they all died. They all got sprayed down by that multi-frag. And there was a lot invested into that round from both teams. Like that early Viper's Pit coming through. We saw the Hunter's Fury. But it's a round, especially for the attackers. I really don't mind them doing that. You know that this has been a round where Ascend have basically saved up to get this purchase in. So realistically, now that they managed to break that economy and put some hurt onto Ascend, they are not that far away from closing this map.
It would be a knock. I think it's a similar case perhaps to some of the topsy-turvy games we saw yesterday. Just the surprise result on the map pick of the underdog, but the rest being relatively clean. But you don't know with Ascend. That's the thing. It's a test of mental. Sentinels, we know what they're like when they lose. They bounce back. And even then, Furia scared them a little bit yesterday. Gambit, it was a bit more clinical, but still an area where you kind of go, especially me, wants to see Gambit do relatively well in this tournament, if I'm being biased. So the fact that they looked a bit awkward against Team Secret is like, okay, especially when Vision Strikers look clinical, to say the very least. And I think that's what's been missing from Ascend, especially with those peaks. A couple of times they've lined up and just got mowed down. Murray's with that clutch, and now obviously MW0.
Yeah, maybe a few shaky scenarios, but I really don't want to take anything away from VivoKid. They've been fantastic. They've had those players that are performing to the standard we expected, but even still,
Guardian
looking to try and find something on aggression, not really getting anything for it. They are, however, walking into the blaze storm of CNED, and if anything can turn around, it would be this player with this weapon.
I also think this is just a good map for MW0 when it comes to playing solo for the first time, because it is just very straightforward with using that utility. Like the owl drone going onto A to temper some of that defensive aggression, recon down onto the back of the site as well. And it is working because Ascend now are starting to try and make those hero plays. What Heat was punished with on the defense, now Zeke is, and Kiles, with that Sheriff, wanted to try and surprise. It was cute, but VALORANT are not going to fall for it. Not lost a player yet.
Yeah, I think this is the man we need to be watching, though. If there's anybody who can at least make this costly, it is going to be seen there. But again, in these afterplants, I've been fairly impressed by VALORANT. They look strong, haven't really been making too many silly mistakes, and for now, they are going to lose the first. Bone Cold managing to find a kill. Starzo's found another one. The knives still standing, but they dissipate. A few missed shots here and there, and although it started to look a little shaky, VALORANT will make sure there is no shenanigans in this eco round.
Yeah, nice attempt. Also being onto Murray's and Joe going down. Not a big deal. Like, Joe being 5-15 is just kind of par for the course for him. Like, technically, like, ACS is one of the lowest in the team. He is the IGL, to be fair. And also playing the Sage, he is just... He's like FedEx with that spike. He's just
they got 3 superstar players. Like, does he need to brag? I feel like if they do not win this game now, I'm not going to be looking at just like Joe. I'm going to be saying, okay, what went wrong elsewhere?
Scoreboard Stevens might, but we're just saying.
Here we go. Again, a very fast-paced take. They'll know that there's a buy coming up here for Ascend, and then the last time they spam their ultimates to get it through, they've spotted out killers early on. What is the response here? MW0 is already going to tag him at the back, so he's going to be isolated. But Starzo, he's managed to threaten Benito. He gets nothing, though. The turnaround from Joe. We mentioned that fragging ability. That might be the most important kill of the round. Still, though, Bone Cold trying to do something in response. He's actually getting shot back, but he gets the kill onto Vixen anyway, turning it into an advantageous position, but they've still got plenty to isolate. And as we've mentioned already, these afterplants thus far have been strong. This kill might be everything. I don't think he actually spotted the gun barrel pointing through. He's going to catch him with a dart out. A teammate even helps as well. It's left on to CNED and Zeke. And we'll make that just Zeke. A 1 versus 2 scenario. The time already ticking so far, and he's just going to have to save his gun. A big round for VALORANT. They have got their 12th.
Even the case where we saw Murray's pushing through towards Snowman through that toxic screen. He gets the 1. He catches onto Bone Cold. Kiles is still lurking around there. But MW0 yet again is there to trade. Him going down, not a big deal considering the streak of rounds that we've seen from the attacking side. Oh, this is the Ascend that we really didn't want to see. And considering all of the practice and the proudness of them being like, we're going into every tournament playing properly because we need official experience and you need to play properly in order to be the best. You can't sandbag, certainly not what they did in home ground. Whilst they made the final, maybe showed a little bit too much. You can't argue that on this map, though, because we didn't see it at all since, like, Masters 2.
The other thing as well is I feel like, other than we saw a Kale, I guess, earlier in the tournament, but in terms of innovation, other than, like, the Envy sort of raise instead of the Sage, I don't think we've seen anything too innovative on this map in quite a long time.
You say that, Killjoy. Like, Killjoy was never really that
but I
pick.
mean, we've seen that before.
Yeah,
it's not like it's different for them, but more so I'm saying, like, unless they were going to completely reinvent the wheel here, we weren't expecting the side of Ascend to just be like, we now do this. Like, it's not a surprise to see them playing the same way they are. The thing is, though, I still feel like there have been maybe a whiff here or there, like Starzo in that moment. I feel like he has to get the kill. Like, Joe turning him, managing to find one back, and then the round just falls apart. And on the other side of things, we've got 3 players who are just absolutely popping. We're the 3 that have been pretty much hyped up as, like, the duelists of this squad. And in terms of the streak of rounds now...
Just the pistols for Ascend.
Yeah.
Pretty sure all of them were post plants as well, which is not too much of a stat to look into on Icebox, really.
Well. There's still some pieces missing. It's not going to be a good attempt to
bakal satu orang di satu side.
Maybe the players that matter, I guess, but
kalian kecolongan banyak, diulangi lagi dong.
That sort of world-dominating player that we expect to see, especially on this map. For now, though, see what they can do. It is, again, straight after the pause, straight after their opponents try and adapt. VALORANT pick up the pace. They're going running straight in towards this site. Zeke's already dead, and it's Murray's again. 2 kills to open. Starzo, at least, is able to respond. The orbs already being retrieved. Maybe trying to get a little bit closer to that res. Joe is going to get himself another. Still quite far away from bringing a player back, but they might not need it at this point. CNED has found one, but at a cost of a lot of HP. There is, however, a res on the other side. SM would need to try and find a player here, and Bone Cold has been brought back, putting them in an advantageous spot. Killers has found another, making this one look more than possible, but he still stands alongside MW0. These two have been unbelievable thus far, but now it's just on to one. It looks like an impossible scenario. 10 HP to try and kill off two. The shot dart isn't really going to do anything. Bone Cold tag, but it doesn't matter. It will be a sin to live to fight another day.
Ayo,
Vivo
comeback.
Keed not out yet. That was a round they could have won.
Yeah, and the fact that Ascend have been struggling in those kind of rounds, we haven't seen them have those insane clutch outs. And MW's era, he had those shock darts ready to go, but just the decisions, inexperienced maybe on the role playing at least somewhat of a part. I'm sure if it was on Raze, he would have blast packed his face right in there to an extent. But really good play from CNED, Starkso, Bone Cold, especially losing two players so early in that round and baiting out an ultimate. And with that buy, that's the kind of tight Ascend play that you really want to see in a tournament like this.
Again, though, it's those openers. Like, Vivo Keed still managed to get two straight into the site. And
it's not deterring Ascend though, look. They're still pushing. Like, they're putting up the Sage Roll, the Aldrone to get information. It makes sort of regressing onto this A site more difficult. But Zeke is still just trying to face. He's been doing it a little bit, punished mostly, but I do like this angle. Joe being able to wall it up, there's not really going to be too much seen. And Vivo Keed at this point, not over-aggressing, it's just straightforward post-plant, sit back, Killjoy lockdowns, creating a lot of different space, and a resurrect if they need it.
And on the other side of things, sure, there's a couple of ults that are not far away, the Blade Storm, also the Empress, just one kill needed to get either of those online. They've got a lot still to do. Already getting spotting out. They've got this retake wall available. CNED is going to get two already. Looking like this is possible, but Vixen fighting. Looking to try and spray them down. It's left all onto Heat. Operator in hand. He's been spotted, but what is that flick? He's found himself one. Just trying to bait Zeke off the defuse, and he's already done it. Just leaving it down to this last player. A whiff spot, but he's buying time. And Zeke is just trying to stick it. He is going to close it out in the exact fashion we've seen from Vivo Keed throughout this map. It will be the Brazilians to put the first number on the board again.
Oh, that's a bad start for Ascend. They were very much wearing their heart on their sleeves going into this tournament. There was no tricks, there was no hiding stuff. Icebox, it was a map that we've not seen in a while. Now we are going to bind on the side of Ascend. You would expect them to bounce back there, but do you? Because the mental is the thing that stops Ascend being a top team in the EMEA, I find. And for Vivo Keed, whilst Heat did top frag in that series, it wasn't just the Heat show, it wasn't the MW0 show.
What this shot, this was so fast.
Nice.
So fast, escapes out of there. It's why this man is such hot property within his region, but then you're just looking at the overall statistics. There were sort of the three duelists. We were thinking how this was going to work out as a roster. Only one of them remained on it. Heat 23, MW0. That new Sobro, we were like, I don't know how it's going to work on Sobro. It's not really something he's played too much of. 21 kills. Murray's switching over to a Killjoy, something we've never seen before.
He still gets 20
kills. This is a team I am excited to see more of.
And you can't even look at Vixen and Joe as being like, sure, they bottom fragged 8 and 6 kills between them. 17 assists from Vixen on that Viper. And Joe, he obviously gets brought up to 10 just from being a Sage, but it's the backbones of the teams. I said it when we watched Team Vikings, KCAS and Sadaf. And these scary trinities that we see on the Brazilian teams when it comes to duelists. And I love the fact that the Brazilian teams are showing up in this tournament. Like Vikings look better, was Crazy Raccoon, Furia, a good result in the end against Sentinels despite losing. And now Vivo Keed are on the board.
Yeah, for sure. This is the map, though, I think that we can agree and the desk can agree they absolutely needed to win. It does, however, mean that even with Bind coming up next being a heavily favored map to Ascend, that there is still breeze on the cards no matter what. So honestly, I think that this is game on. I'm not expecting them even still to win this next map, but the fact that they've come in, you could see that they're pumped up. You could see that they are enjoying themselves on this stage, Ryan. I think there's some real hope for Brazil here.
Yeah, despite EMEA being 1-0 down, I'm also enjoying it as well. Considering all of the other EMEA teams have won their first game, maybe Ascend is going to break that trend, but they do have to bounce back a little.
Well, there is a break before that will happen, and then the analyst desk could break that one down because that was one hell of a map of Icebox.
So you've never heard of PremiumBeat.com? Aren't you a filmmaker?
But it wasn't meant to be. It took Simple a while to find himself.
Sometimes I'm writing shit fast with my bad English and people don't understand this. So I just want a fucking peace in the fucking world. That's all I want. That's all I want.
But after the uncertainty and disappointment of his earlier years, on Na'Vi, it was Simple's time to show the world what he was truly capable of.
Just perfecto and Simple. He needs a multi-kill. First found. Twist aggressing. They have to double peek. He's getting his shot. He's hitting another one. Simple. No, Simple. That's unbelievable. What in his name? Number one in the game. He's done it again.
2020 looked like it was going to be the year Simple finally won his long-deserved major. The year he would indisputably prove who was the true GOAT of Counter-Strike.
With this roster, you have brighter future.
Okay.
I mean, we don't know what's gonna happen, but still, with this roster, with this individual skill, we can beat any team.
But it wasn't meant to be. There was no major in 2020.
With individual skill, we can beat any team. Nice. Nice, Sasha.
This roster, you have brighter future.
Okay.
I mean, we don't know what's gonna happen, but still, with this roster, with this individual skill, we can beat any team.
But it wasn't meant.
Nice. Tuh, gitu. Sasha ini baru keren ini. Popularitas. Skill nomor 1.
Meant to be. There was no major in 2020 as the world was engulfed in a global pandemic, and the few esports events that did happen took place online. From the outside looking in, it seemed as if Simple's one chance had passed him by. Like he was cursed to never win the big trophy. But Simple wasn't ready to give up.
Would you really quit CS to play Valorant? Listen, if I was Astralis that won 4 majors, I would probably think about this, you know? But since I have 0 major, I'll keep grinding.
This year has been Simple's best year yet. Going into PGL Stockholm, he had it all. The drive, the talent, and the team. But the real question was, would he finally have his major?
Ooh, Simple with the off, got the first one more close up. Oh, of course he has that as well. And at a third. That is spectacular. He's at the major and he's not wasting any time.
1v1 on Simple. He's got it. Simple can just hop on the bomb and stick that defuse crims. It's easy.
Logikanya mati, Fak.
Finally have his major.
Ooh, Simple with the off, got the first one more close up. Oh, of course he has that as well. And at a third. That is spectacular. He's at the major and he's not wasting any time.
1v1 on Simple. He's got it. Simple can just hop on the bomb and stick that defuse crims. It's easy.
4 akal, 5 ini paling nggak 4 kalau itu akal.
Gonna find the no scope onto Dexter. The no scope headshot now in a 1 versus 1. Can he get this one?
Now Simple goes. Yeah. You always get no. Simple.
That's the face of a man who's wondering who doubted he's the best player in the world.
Alexander Kostiliev.
Fans have argued about whether or not Alexander Simple Kostiliev is CSGO's greatest player for years. It has long been one of the game's most prominent conversation starters.
For anyone ever in the history of Counter-Strike that wants to try and challenge Simple for the best player of all time, I can't even imagine the kind of work they'd have to put in. What an outrageous player.
Simple on an individually skilled level is obviously like by far the best, but at some point when you have a conversation around the greatest player, I think you do need to include, you know, the team accolades in there.
It might seem weird to people who come from other esports that our GOAT in CSGO is, you know, a guy who's never won the major. Especially when the other players people tend to throw around have. And that's kind of what makes Simple simple. The fact that you have this guy who, like, achieved the status of the so-called, you know, God King of CSGO without ever actually winning the major.
During his time on Hellraisers, Flipside Tactics, Team Liquid, and of course Na'Vi, the Ukrainian phenom has been a shining example of what it means to have a truly infinite skill ceiling.
Right now, we need to take a look at a very, very pivotal, very crucial moment right here in the timeline of the event. Simple with an offline record today, scoring his 4th ace in a single event. That is a record, and he keeps on delivering.
The only thing missing that would make Simple's GOAT status official was a major.
There's a lot of players that
couldn't win major before, you know. It's maybe too early. I always think that if I didn't win some, then I need to work on myself and to find more my mistakes. Maybe it's not
ini
outside
setup
me,
pertamanya
maybe
dia,
it's
Cuk.
outside, or maybe it's my communication, or maybe when I'm tilted sometimes.
Sekarang
you know.
setupnya udah
So I'm
berubah
always
dia.
trying to fix myself.
People have floated many possible reasons for why the trophy eluded Simple, despite his beastly stats and incredible in-game performances.
Despite the fact that Simple knows he's the best, and everyone knows he's the best, and he can safely call himself the best, there's still that one knock against him. There's still that one knock against him, that there are lesser players on lineups from years ago that won a major that have that one up on, you know, the God Emperor of CSGO, right?
Back in the day, the consensus was that it was probably his attitude that was the issue.
What are you doing, you f***ing idiot? Let's go together and win, or I gonna leave.
Simple was passionate about CSGO, and sometimes that passion flared so hot it burned the people around him, including a few of his teammates.
When he first moved here, I mean, I knew what to expect. You know, I knew him and Adren wouldn't get along very well. I knew, you know, it would probably be like a ticking time bomb. You know, only a matter of time until it exploded, where you know, Simple made it either him or Adren. And, you know, obviously, as we can see now, that was what it was.
With Team Liquid, Simple was in the running for a major win twice, MLG Columbus and ESL1 Cologne. Unfortunately, both events were a disappointment for the team and for Simple himself.
I feel like it's first chance to be with team and qualify for $1 million major. And when we start losing, because maybe of me, because I didn't hit my shots, I feel so sad.
Plagued with homesickness and feeling increasingly frustrated with the direction his career was taking, Simple decided to return to Ukraine and take up the black and yellow on Nata Sincere.
I want to win every tournament in the world. I want to help create new era of NATO Sincere.
Now, yes, now. You are the king. You are the real king.
Since joining Na'Vi in 2016, Simple has teamed with some of the greatest names in the game. IGL extraordinaire Zeus, Op legend Guardian, and 1.6 veteran Edward. He formed powerful in-game duos with Na'Vi's other longtime mainstays, Electronic and Flamey. Simple also had a chance to play with a few untested players, energetic IGL Boomage, the enigmatic Perfecto, and most recently, Na'Vi junior up-and-comer Bit, all of whom proved that more experience didn't automatically trump the need to prove oneself. But even so, it seemed like the stars never lined up right for Simple and his major to finally come together. And never was this more apparent than in 2020, when a pandemic effectively canceled esports. Simple had endured years of haters and doubters, stiff competition from young players like the French prodigy Zaiwu, not to mention the excruciating back pain from carrying some of Na'Vi's more ineffectual rosters year after year.
Everyone's laughing, everyone's smiling, having a great time.
Simple doesn't look like he's having a great time.
And just when it looked like, at long last, Simple was poised to win CSGO's biggest prize, there wasn't even a major for him to play in.
He just put on a clinic in Katowice. They win that tournament. It's huge. It's supposed to be the start of the Na'Vi era. They ask him on stage, like, is this the start of the Na'Vi era? He says, yes. The casters think, like, this is going to be it. We are going to be living in Na'Vi-dominated Counter-Strike. And then, thum, COVID hits.
Online era Na'Vi took a bit of time to find their footing, but not having LANs certainly didn't stop Simple from being amazing.
Yeah, this is like one of Simple's favorite teams to play against. I think he loves the chaos. I think, don't knife him.
No.
Don't do it, Simple. Oh my God, Vinny is gone. Na'Vi 1 away from the 2-0 victory, 1 kill away. And of course, it's Simple to deliver it. One hell of a game.
Nice.
Gonna find the no-scope onto Dexter. The no-scope headshot now in a 1-1.
Nice, Sasha.
Simple with the 2 no-scope clutch.
Next over the headshot, Niku to follow, and this is looking so crisp right now. They had the call, that Molotov from Nexa is everything they needed. Simple though, no, what? He's turned around, he's got 3 kills in the space of a second, and now it's a 1-on-1. He's gonna go for the bomb plant. He's inside of the smoke, and Amanek, he's got the pistol out, he knows, but Simple's escaped out through the smoke. Not dead yet. Comes back for a little bit more. This can't happen. He's on the bomb. He's going for the full defuse. Ice cold from Evidence. Oh, no! He takes him down anyway, the Undertaker!
Even though most of the tournaments that year, as well as a chunk of 2021, were held online, Na'Vi managed to slowly but surely collect even more silverware to add to their trophy cabinet.
Simple, both posted up. Fires off a warning shot, and Simple as well does one better. And they're just walking in.
Nice.
Oh my goodness. He
One more for the ace, Alex. That record-breaking ace.
And here it comes, a record breaker from Simple. He takes all 5. And that was the fight they were waiting for. Electronic flash off the door for the repeat. Simple's got more. A massacre with the AK spray. Lovely to observe.
But now, as it's the 1v1 on Simple,
he's got it.
Simple can just hop on the bomb and stick that defuse. Crims is
Easy.
2-1.
Awesome.
Lands the no-scope and still wins the round. Simple does it with flair. They've been given a lot of room. Now Simple on ladders. Yeah. Oh, you always get Simple. Double up on the ladder.
Na'Vi completed the Intel Grand Slam in 756 days, the 3rd team to ever do so, and collect the $1 million prize that went along with the title. And while a year and a half might seem like a long time, considering the state of the world for a big chunk of it, Na'Vi's accomplishment was nothing to scoff at.
Hi haters, I'm here again.
Nice.
This is it.
Hello, haters. Hello.
Lights, everything. Yeah,
Yes.
just know your place, haters.
Yes.
I'm just kidding.
By all accounts, Simple was having an absolutely insane year, and fast approaching was the only remaining hurdle on his way to officially becoming the uncontested king of CSGO, the PGL Stockholm Major.
They had everything. They won the slam. They had the best rifler, the best offer, they had the best IGL, the best coach. Like, they had everything. Everything was gelling. This was it. And if they don't win this one, you enter no excuses territory, where it's just like, what the hell do you need to win a major now? And I do think that that was a conversation going into Stockholm. The pressure was definitely on for Simple in a way that I don't think it was ever on before.
Heading into PGL, Na'Vi qualified directly for the new Legends stage, since their regional major rankings put them in 1st place in the CIS, alongside online-era superstars Gambit Esports. At this point, Simple had 16 MVP medals and multiple in-game records to his name, had attended 7 different majors with 3 different teams, and been on the losing end of 2 major grand finals. After the year Na'Vi had, if they couldn't win in Stockholm, it didn't seem like it would happen at all, and Simple felt the weight of the world on his shoulders.
I heard it from a lot of guys that Na'Vi should win, and I just tried to imagine how we losing, you know, and it was so terrible that I wanted to win more, you know.
But this is Simple, the god of CSGO that we're talking about. It turned out he wouldn't have to worry about losing at all.
And that's why they're here. That's why they win.
Good shot from Simple. A follow-up shot through the corner of the doorway. This is brutal.
Yeah, Bit's now got the angle. Axel's never going to expect this. Bit with the second shot connects, and Simple in the meantime finds another headshot. Ooh,
Nice.
and another one.
Another one.
Where does this guy do it? Shiro now the last one alive here for Gambit, hoping to be the hero.
Oh my
Simple,
God.
that is disgusting.
Yeah, that's the face of a man who's wondering who doubted he's the best player in the world. Holding on at the moment to the bomb site. Finds an awkward timing, but Perfecto is spot on. And Simple has yet to even be put into play, and it's all over. 16-3.
After plowing through every opponent and dispatching one of their most anticipated matchups, Gambit, in what could only be called a veritable stomp, Na'Vi were about to face G2 Esports in the grand finals. And as fate would have it, G2's lineup had a long-deprived major contender of their own, Bosnian CSGO legend Nikola "Nico" Kovac. Nico and Simple, who'd been friends for a long time, wished each other the best. But at the end of the day, only one of them could be a major winner. Only one could reign supreme. And since neither wanted to jinx their chances, they both played it cool.
It's the major in the end, like, it's the most important event of the the whole CS time, you know. We never had bigger prize pool, we didn't have major for 2 years. The pressure is there, but we are just here to fight.
You can always lose, you know. So when you lose this confidence or you start to think that they're better, you start losing. So we're just trying to upgrade our game from game to game and just trying to learn our opponents.
A grand final win at PGL Stockholm could mark another important accomplishment for Na'Vi. So far, their major run had been flawless. The team had yet to drop a single map. And they intended to keep it that way during the first round of the finals on Ancient.
No kit to be seen. The bomb now planted, uncontested. I say uncontested. A brief chance and through the smoke, Simple. The grand final, he's the one pulling G2 through, but a 1v2, the bomb is ticking. And that's the end of that. 16 to 11. G2's pick goes the way of the Na'Vi nation.
But G2 were not about to be just another sacrifice on Na'Vi's altar. They were ready to fight back. Although that would be no easy task playing on Nuke, a map Na'Vi hadn't lost on since May. So it came as a bit of a shock when Simple and his squad found themselves facing a 14-7 scoreboard in favor of G2.
A gargantuan swing in the momentum of this series. And the G2 fans raising the roof, they know just how close G2 are to pushing us all the way.
G2 were a measly 2 rounds away from taking map point and forcing a third deciding game, and wiping out Na'Vi's pristine map win streak. With their backs against the wall, Na'Vi needed a miracle, and of course, Simple was going to provide it.
Oh, Bit catches Nectar just before he can tuck in, and Jack's just not long for this world either.
0 to 100 right there. Right, it's way too quiet. It's way too quiet. G2 had no information.
Perfecto has a smoke to play around already, repels the invaders. Bit comes in, but Nico does too! Is it really happening? 2 headshots. You'd need a whole lot more. Simple catches him off, and we play on. It was Simple on that AWP. Times it to perfection. And Simple sitting down. No! Disaster! An absolute disaster!
That was it!
That was the game! Chat, that was it! Simple swings it open, he's got the bomb in his hands! He has to plant! Simple finds him, and we go overtime! Show that clip to your mother that says it's just a video game.
But miracle comeback or not, G2 weren't messing around. They were not going to give Nuke or the Major up without a fight.
Amanek posted up aggressive, he wasn't spotted, but Jax might have to react. He pushes in, Simple's waiting, it's up to Hunter, and he's delivered.
Lagi ya. Tonton apa, Strot?
Dissipate nicely, and that was a dissipate from the side
Ah,
of
maju
Vivo as
nonton
well.
juga, Strot.
I don't think that Murray's expected that to disappear in front of his eyes. I don't think he expected that. I worry a little bit, because that from Vixen, I'm almost certain that Muras was not ready for that smoke to disappear.
No. And it's just, really, that's been the only time that miscommunication has really played a noticeable part, to say the very least. And even if we did have comms, I don't speak Portuguese, so it would have been kind of lost on me.
I'm sure there are plenty of people out there who could maybe tell you what was said, but...
You say that on the other side, though, is just if that dissipate goes down and somehow Morris gets the kill there, that's
I just think it's more
as well.
it's more the fact that it looked like he wasn't ready. It's not the fact that he died. It's that just based on the fact that smoke, he's like, like the sort of panic shot. But here we go. It is going to be 3-1. An early start for Ascend. I think, even though, as said, like going into this map, they're going to be feeling incredibly confident. I think it is important that they get off to a good start, because we know, I think out of any team in this tournament, the most likely to just snowball out of control is probably going to be Vivo Key. Like, they are the team that if they get rolling, they're going to be very, very difficult to stop. So the fact that it has been some slower starts from some of their players, there have been a misstep here and there. They're definitely not as loud as they were, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, mixed by now for Vivo Keyed. I imagine the Blade Storm's going to be dedicated from Heat, and then it's just a case of MW picking up whatever. Really, at this point, they might decide against it. There's still time. But one thing I wanted to say to you is we saw 2 insane clutches from Vivo Keyed, probably the 2 most important rounds on Icebox. Who is the clutch player for Ascend? Who is the one that they can rely on? Is it still CNED?
I don't know, I think I'd always put it down to someone like Starzo. I think for me, he's the one that I would put clutches that. It's a nice start. That's the Blade Store gone as well. So although there is still an extra rifle here and there, it's not looking good in this round. That is it's a stuck squid. It's on the beach. Not really getting anywhere, but the fact that they've still both gone in towards that B site gives away the information. There's only going to be one player here. This Stinger would have to pull off something pretty ludicrous. It's the range that might work, but Killers is clinical and leaves just 2 remaining, and chances of anything are slim. I think Murray's just has to save.
Yeah, and W0 doesn't have that much. He almost gets the kill onto CNED. Getting him to buy a little bit more armor for the next round. That's all you can really do. And yeah, Murray's isn't looking to do much of anything. Just chilling in hookah. And I think what I really like what they do on the attack of Bind is because they have constant default pressure in some areas. Like Keylez is going to set up that toxic screen roughly in the same positions. You usually see some kind of go across the A site from the bottom left to the top right. Allows players like Navera does it a bit to lurk through, Nats especially. But Keylez is always sort of watching this for defensive aggression, to find lurks, to find openings. It means that if Evo Keyed even just see a stack of players towards B, they can't write off A. Ever.
Oh, they're hunting him down. I don't think they're going to get him, surely. No. He's not even going to try and peek and get that kill. It's not worth the trade. So 4-1. Again, Ascend looking good. And this is where we expect to see at least an investment from the opposing side. But I do think already you're starting to see a few liberties being taken. Like, you could see that from Zeke there, just walking straight into hookah. There wasn't a lot of utility to give him away. They're starting to get into that confident spot where I feel like this could just be that Steam ROM up. Almost like we saw just yesterday, where it was like, okay, Team Secret, they've got themselves a map. 13-0.
Yep. And Ascend recently beating one of the best teams on the world on this map in another tournament kind of adds to it. And on the attacking side as well. Like, the attacking side of Ascend is a pretty good masterclass, but again, it's those cases where context matters, obviously. Nats wasn't playing his best, and Gambit, I don't think, really wanted to show all that much, because yesterday looked a hell of a lot more tighter.
There we go, though. Aggression on both sides of the map. Heat spotting out in towards B long. The same happening on A. It's a battle for the orb, although more just trying to deny that extra little bit of space. It has to be fallen off, so although some time has been bought, the space is still going to be taken, and rotation will come through from Vivo Keyed. I think if there is going to be a response in this half, they need to at least do something in this round.
Showstopper as well to maybe allow a bit of a defensive, just really break on through. Oh. Seekers on the defense is going to find a lot. Vixen sneaking up on it as well. The trade's still working out in the favor of Keylez. Yet again, this is just like the spot that he really comes to life. This A-shot position. And whilst the Showstopper was picked up from Zeke, it's not needed. He has just been sat here the whole time, seeing if there was going to be any lurks, any push-throughs, and just outmanned in the end on the A side from Vivo Keyed. Or two Vivo Keyed, should I say.
Well, the thing is as well, they seem so reliant on actually just being aggressive. Like, when we're seeing these walk-through attempts into mid, and whether it's Heat making those plays, I think in this round it's Vixen making the play, like, they're just getting domed by whoever's on the other side. And Ascend, I don't really feel like, okay, in the previous round they were much more aggressive into hookah, knowing they were up against an eco, but in the majority of rounds they've been very, very patient around that A short side. So the fact that Vivo Keyed is still attempting to try and push it, it does worry me a little bit, but at the same time I guess they can't just leave with that null information of where Ascend are currently going to be, so they are struggling at the moment. Heat, we've seen him in one round manage to pop off when they pushed into his crosshair, and Bone Cold, well,
still without a kill, I think.
Just end up on a trade.
Yeah, both the IGLs have not picked up a kill at the very least. Bone Cold got one. Woo! So 1 and 4. And again, he's sort of looking like maybe a Joe as the 8 ACS and being like, top bottom fragger, just like not really up to par. But I guess the other thing to add to that as well is just in previous games in Masters 3, he didn't play Viper, and Viper is a hard agent to play on a map like this, especially against those EMEA teams that have been doing it all year. This is nothing new to Keylez.
Yeah, for sure. I think as well, like, we saw in the previous map, they changed a few things here and there. New player coming in on a role that we didn't really expect, Muriz as well, but it's a map that I think the team themselves are comfortable on. Bind,
yeah.
I'm correct me if I'm wrong, I think previously was a ban. So they've
Yeah.
tried to change to move into maybe a slightly more meta comp. Still going to have Heat on that jet, which is something we see a lot of players move away from on this map in particular. But I don't think that's the issue at the moment. I think the main problem is they're desperately trying to find some sort of information all across the map. That said, in previous rounds, we had B-long aggression, we had the Bath's aggression as well, and then we had a push into mid. And on the other side of things, you just see Ascend going, yeah, wait for it, wait, now.
Yeah.
Now. And then they're just getting these easier frags. So I'm glad that we're seeing an early-ish pause coming out from Vivo Key, because although, as you sort of mentioned, Ascend are very strong on the attack, it's not like they're slouches on the defense. It's not like it's going to get any easier when the side switches.
No, not at all. And an interesting thing that I just looked up is that Zhao has played Viper in the past. It was only when we got to Masters 3 that they changed away from it, which often is a bit of a scary thing. I often think that if you come into a tournament like this off the back of qualifiers and you change it up, it's not because you were sitting on it for months and didn't want to use it because you were expected to get to Masters Berlin. It's more, we want to throw stuff at the wall to see what sticks.
I think this is about to become very difficult already. Straight away, Zeke just clearing out this hookah control. We see how strong that raise can be. I think we've heard it from Boaster in the past. He doesn't like to see this map without a raise on it, and it's just getting worse. They're just pounding ultimates into the site. Nice shot from Heat, though. And the quick rotation from the remaining players could make things a little bit awkward. Starzo has spotted out Muris, but there's going to be a swing. There's going to be a peek back in.
Nice
and
trade.
Joe has managed to find another. And they're slowly being closed in from behind. Now the spike is going to be retrieved. Joe is just being tagged down. He's going to have to try and swing out of that one, but he manages to escape, still keeping himself alive.
Meaning,
Nice.
Vixen now is starting to crunch. Maybe Zeke is holding on. He's doing relatively well in comparison, and now, and it's a 2v1 situation for Ascend, and he is slowly picking up a gun.
The spike's gone. CNED just ran away. I don't know how Zeke managed to survive in that scenario, but if there was anybody you wanted in this clutch, it would be this man. It's not been a pretty round. It's not been a clean round. But it's one that Vivo Key came in with an inherent disadvantage. That Ascend decided to throw in a couple of ultimates just to try and keep it clean.
2 smokes
and it's
as well.
come down into a 1 versus 2 scenario. A chance to isolate the duel, but Zeke is just hitting everything put in front of him. A 4K on the round, 6-1 for Ascend. And it definitely wasn't as clean as they would have liked, but
it's also considering the buy for Vivo Key wasn't great in the end, and you're dedicating 2 big ultimates off the get-go. The execute was fine. You'd really take MW0 out the round. I do like the attempt of the wall to slow things. Zeke just being able to hold on here, really not panicking too much, and considering that it was a bit of a awkward performance from him on Icebox. Good mental reset. Like, it's just, he had so many first kills towards the start of Icebox, and then was the one being left on an island, taken out and giving Vivo Key a player advantage. Certainly when we saw Ascend's defense, but on the attack he has been that difference. He's been the clutch man that we wanted.
okay, but this could be at least something here. We know how strong this operator is from Heat. They're going to force him off the angle, and actually CNED has crossed. I don't think he has any idea. This could be an issue. Timing, actually for both players, could be the problem, because I don't know if CNED would expect him to cross over. He does seem to be at least jiggling that angle, but on the other side of things, I don't know if Heat realizes that someone's got over to the box. The other thing as well is it could all be irrelevant, because we've now got the bathroom's control being taken, mid also being crunched, but on the other side, we just have this B control almost for free. There's only one man there to stop them. The star no longer in place, and see that he's already trying to pre-fire the angle. He expected him to be there, and this is all just a distraction as they have just taken full control of B. And I feel like I said they're just looking around like, guys? There's no one here?
This might be a bit of a misinformation play, though. They're sort of expecting maybe more plays to be over A. The rotation is slow, but still elbow control is pretty nice if you're in a position of Vixen. There is a Cosmic Divide as well to break up this site. The Viper's Pit, this is a nice position. We saw Nats using it yesterday. The defenders are still just walking right through it into that elbow spot.
It's going to be a tough retake, though. If your whole team is trying to make a push through elbow, it's going to leave you with some isolated jaw. And CNED, there's a little bit of a ledge. He can just swing out. This might just be the murder of every single member. But it's watched. He is going to connect the shot. It's left to Zeke and Bocol to try and hold on here. The Molotov falls, but it's actually only going to deny one. He's managed to find a second. It's already halfway ticked, trying to do it all. And the timing, is it going to be enough? Just trying to get the defuse through, and it's not. That Molotov just won them the round, and even though it looked good in the retake for Vivo Keyed, they still can't get it through.
Yeah, that Brimstone utility just went in and out, and just one of those moments where Ascend, it really looked locked in, especially when you're using that Viper's Pit. But Vivo Keyed do so much. The play from Seeded was nice, being on top of that box, being able to swing out, but it just felt that Vivo Keyed did have just such a good read on it in the end. He was watching just the reaction for that in the end. And that's just a lovely round from start to finish. Especially from the side of Ascend, like CNED really keeping heat over in that A Showers position.